Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security made a trip to the Commonwealth to survey flood damage. Plus, a House bill that could allow for stricter penalties for those caught street racing.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning and a happy Thursday to you. One day till Friday. My name's Amelia Lee here with you on this February 27th at 6:30, which means it's time to check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmall. We've talked about the rain, Megan. We have talked about the warmth. So now we have to talk about what is coming up for our day ahead.
Well, what is coming up is more rain. Unfortunately, we do have some rain chances in the forecast for today, not only for this morning, but this evening. Here's a look at that live pinpoint Doppler radar so you can see where the rain is located right now and if it's heading towards your city. Now, as we go towards portions of London, that's when we're seeing some of the heaviest of that rainfall. Now, it's moving towards Bush right now, and Manchester is seeing some moderate rain. Asher's Fork will be getting this rain in just a couple of minutes. We'll travel a little bit more towards the east, seeing some more moderate rain towards Jenkins, Clintwood, and Prater. Continuing to move towards the southeast, we'll continue to see that move towards portions of our area such as Garden and Honaker. Now, for the rest of the day, we'll see that taper off. And then we have another chance this evening and some storm chances associated with that system as well. Here's a look at those current temperatures because it is quite warm out there. I mean, we're talking 50 degrees, and we'll stay around those temperatures as we go through the day because not much will be changing as that cold front just kept us staying in the 50s pretty much all day long, hitting a secondary high as we head into the afternoon in the mid-50s. Amelia.
All right, thank you, Megan. Well, yesterday, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, made a trip to the Commonwealth to survey flood damage. Secretary Noem flew over some eastern Kentucky towns before a news conference in Frankfort with Governor Beshear. It was an opportunity for Secretary Noem to see the damage across eastern Kentucky from the air following the flooding. It was easy to see where the high water had left a mark and lots of debris behind. After the flight, Secretary Noem met with Kentucky officials about the response so far and what is to come. Madison Carmouche has more.
That's always the most inspiring out of an event like this is neighbors helping neighbors.
Secretary Noem says after flying over damage in Breathitt County, she better understands ways to help the Commonwealth now and in the future.
I think it is important that we need to do at the federal level is a lot of education before events happen. Educating the public on what we can do to be better prepared for these type of disasters.
Governor Beshear says the quick response from Secretary Noem helped local leaders answer the needs of their communities.
And I got to talk with folks that have been through this before, who, because of the experience of going through the worst of the worst in 2022, were ready.
Secretary Noem says she hopes for FEMA to transform into a medium that works for the people.
Is that the people that are closest to the individuals that were hurt or impacted by a disaster are the ones who know what they need more than people sitting in Washington, D.C. do.
Governor Beshear and Secretary Noem agreed party lines were blurred for the benefit of Kentuckians.
After landing in Frankfort at the National Guard Armory, Secretary Noem took a tour of the Emergency Operations Center control room. Kentucky lawmakers were briefed on the damage caused by the recent flooding in Frankfort yesterday morning. Senators Philip Wheeler and Scott Maiden represent parts of several counties inundated by the deadly and devastating flooding. Senator Wheeler says part of his law firm was damaged, but he says the devastation in both Pikeville and out in the county is something like he's never seen.
Maybe months and years before they get their lives together. And, you know, considering the already struggling economy with some of the downturn in the coal industry and other traditional means of employment, this has been very devastating to the region.
Senator Scott Maiden says there are 500 homes flooded in his 5-county district, with damage estimates already in the tens of millions of dollars. Kentucky lawmakers were provided an update regarding current and future renovations at the state capitol yesterday. Starting next summer, the state capitol will be closed to the public for many years. The cost of the renovation is nearly $300 million. Temporary House and Senate chambers have been constructed next to the Capitol Annex, where lawmakers will be for at least the next 3 sessions. A bill that could keep cell phones out of the classroom passed through a House committee yesterday morning. The bill requires local boards of education to adopt policies to prohibit student use of phones during school, including how it's implemented and enforced. The bill raised questions about student safety and access to technology in case of an emergency. House Bill 208 is co-sponsored by Representatives James Tipton and Josh Bray.
As these policies have been rolled out in different states across the country, some people have just a plastic device where students will put their phones in. So obviously there would be quick access to that.
It's similar to a bill filed last year with an added social media component. This year's bill would prohibit social media and make the sites inaccessible through school technology unless it's allowed by a teacher for an instructional purpose. Kentucky lawmakers are looking to increase the penalties for those caught street racing. House Bill 465 would increase fines for the first offense from $200 to $1,000. The cars that were racing could be impounded for 6 months or longer. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, speed-related traffic deaths shot up 21% between 2018 and 2023. The bill passed the committee and now heads to the full House. The U.S. House of Representatives budget proposal to cut trillions of dollars in taxes has some Kentuckians worried it will carry over into Medicaid, potentially cutting funding and services to those who need help with health insurance. Experts say Medicaid helps 1 in 4 Kentuckians. That's almost 1 million Kentuckians on the health plan. Dr. Sheila Schuster advocates for Kentuckians with disabilities. She says just the talk of cutting Medicaid is a real concern.
Yes, it does absolutely scare the hell out of me. Medicaid at the state level, and I'm sure at the federal level, is one of the biggest ticket items, one of the costliest programs.
In a statement, Republican Congressman Hal Rogers responded to Medicaid concerns, saying lawmakers have no intentions of cutting any vital programs. However, he says they are cutting waste and abuse of taxpayer dollars to protect programs like Medicaid in the future. A Johnson County man is facing charges after he reportedly stabbed someone who was trying to break up a fight. On Monday, police were called to a home on Boyd Street in Paintsville. Police say they spoke to a man who had a large laceration on his face. The victim says he was trying to break up a fight between his sister and Christopher Stewart. Police found later that Stewart was hiding inside an abandoned vehicle. He was taken to the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center. In Rockcastle County, a murder trial is moving forward. A judge ruled that Clayton Cox is competent to stand trial during a hearing Tuesday. He was charged with the murder of Joshua Dooley last year. KSP says Dooley was found in a home with a fatal gunshot wound. Cox also faces evidence tampering and gun possession charges. A trial date has not been set. A Laurel County man was arrested after deputies say he pointed a gun at a woman. Ethan Chitwood was arrested in East Bernstadt Tuesday afternoon. Deputies say a woman doing yard work told them Chitwood pointed a handgun at her. He told investigators he was pointing the gun at the woman's dog. He faces a wanton endangerment charge. Also in Laurel County, a man is facing charges after his car caught on fire Tuesday night. Deputies say 44-year-old Patel crashed a car into a ditch on Somerset Road shortly after midnight. The car caught on fire shortly after he got out. He was charged with a DUI. A telephone pole fell, causing a hillside fire and power outage in Knott County. It happened on Highway 160 right in front of Hot Rod's Pizza. Kentucky State Police got the call around 4 yesterday afternoon. The Hindman Fire Department and the Division of Forestry were dispatched to the fire, which has since been controlled. Residents of the Housing Authority of Knott County told WYMT they were without power for about 4 hours. No outages are being reported. Harlan County Judge Executive Dan Mosley is now serving as president of the Kentucky Association of Counties. He says local governments have responded well to disasters, including the recent flooding, but he says they need to plan ahead.
We have found ourselves in Kentucky here over the last 5 years in disaster after disaster after disaster. And you oftentimes have to go back and figure out, what was I working on before when times were good? What was I working on before this disaster struck? So trying to focus on strategic planning so that county officials have a way to go back and say, well, we're going to work this, we're going to plan our work.
mostly as a guest on our sister station WKYT's Newsmakers program, which airs this weekend.
Current temperatures are on the warmer side. We're talking 50s for most of the area, 63 as you're traveling towards Jacksboro. Now that cold front moved through, we're starting to see those temperatures drop just a bit, and we'll get a little bit cooler, but as the time we head into the afternoon, we'll return back to the temperatures we're seeing right about now in the 50s, mostly the mid to upper 50s, some low 50s as you're traveling towards Wise. Now let's talk about the rain because that's still making its way through the region. We're seeing the heaviest rain towards London and also as you're going towards Dickinson and Buchanan County, Virginia today. We'll continue to watch that push through, and once this round of rain is gone, we have another round coming this evening. Here's a look at that bus stop forecast as you're heading out the door. Temperatures are in the 50s with that rain chance on the way to school, but by the time you're heading home, we're looking at that window of dry conditions with temperatures in the mid 50s. Stay with us. More mountain news and weather is on the way.